Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How's everybody tonight? Hope you're all well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. So then, we have a very special live stream this evening. We are going to be taking a look at Legends Untold, the Illumination of Deepsorrow from Inspiring Games. Now, tonight's show is extra special because we are going to be joined by the co-designer, Kevin Young, who's going to be guiding us through the first mission in the game. The game saw its crowdfunding at the beginning of the year, which was very successful, and is due for a retail launch within the first quarter of next year. So, very excited to be able to share this game with you, a bit of a preview, I guess. So, yeah, if you have any questions during the course of the game, then please jot them down in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them. Pass them over to Kevin to give you his responses. Now, Kevin, are you all set and ready to join me this evening? Let's just get the all clear. I know that unfortunately Manda has been just tied up momentarily. So what we'll do is we'll just have a little bit of a chat, a little bit of preamble before we get started. Yeah, I think you are. Okay, let's bring you on in then.
Can you hear me?
Good evening, Kevin. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. It's great to have one of the co-designers here to guide us through the game. Very excited. As I say, Manda unfortunately is just running slightly late, being tied up. She'll join us as soon as she can, and then we can get the game started. But I thought maybe what we'll do is we'll take this opportunity just to ask a couple of questions, if that's all right.
Of course, but just before you do that, if I can just get in one thing, because I know there's some backers will be watching. There's some backers will be watching, and they'll have heard the retail date there. To be clear to all of our backers that you will get the game before it goes to retail, unless it's to do with logistics that are beyond our control. So I just want to make that very clear because Kickstarter backers, you know, it's important to them. So the idea is
absolutely
get the game to the backers. We get the game to the backers, then it goes to retail. That just wanted to clarify that on day one, okay?
Yes, sorry, I said retail in terms, should have meant fulfillment. Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Yes,
absolutely.
Thanks, David.
Well, I mean, just for those who are not familiar with the game, do you want to just give a brief sort of history of where the game, sort of the initial concept, and then what you've done prior to the Illumination of Deepsorrow, just for anybody who's completely new to Legends Untold?
Sure. The short story, the too long don't read, is it's to try and give you all the experience of an RPG without the real world hassles of getting a GM together or getting people to turn up together and to read hundreds and hundreds of pages of a book of you know, manuals and so forth. But you can actually just with the speed of the card game, once you learn how to play it, have an RPG-like experience just using that game. The longer answer, slightly longer answer, is that Hugh, I do want to give a shout out to Hugh Ducker, the other half of Inspiring Games. He and I sat down about 7 years ago on a kind of rainy day and said, you know what, it'd be great if we could actually just get the experience of that role-playing game when, you know, real world gets in the way. And so we put pen to paper and cards and prototypes and so forth and iterated something out over a number of years, play tested it at UK Games Expo and so forth, and launched our first Kickstarter campaign, which was very successful, and then followed it up with the Illumination of Deepsorrow, as you said, this year, which is basically like the original game 1.5. We added in the extra story that people wanted to hear more about the world we've created, and we've added in a few more tweaks, and also importantly some player aids to make the game more visual and slightly easier to understand.
Right. Yes. Yes. So the first two, I'm very familiar with the Weeping Caves, and it's the sewers, isn't it? The second set, but of course did they come out at the same time?
Yeah, the idea in the original game was we wanted to make something in terms of the lore that was a bit different. So it's more low fantasy than high fantasy. It riffs off. I'm a big history buff, so it riffs off anachronistically ancient history, antiquity, Dark Ages, early medieval history, and also fantasy species and so forth thrown in at the same time. And the rough conceit is that you're in the first two games, the caves and the sewers, your villagers, the Sacs, which is roughly the Saxons, roughly, but nothing's exact in this game, are trying to escape a new species that have come and they've met for the first time called the newcomers. And the best way of describing these would be heavily armored elves that are a mixture of kind of magic wielding samurai with some African influences as well. That nobody particularly likes the newcomers except the newcomers.
Right.
And you're trying to escape them with your people. I should stress for people that don't know the game, you're very much penniless peasants and reluctant heroes in Legends Untold. So when you play this game tonight, we have upped the treasure quotient because people did say they wanted it to be a little bit more kind of treasury. But even in Legends Untold, finding a ring or something would be a big deal. You won't find a Vorpal Sword of Doom on the first couple of levels, that's for sure.
Right.
Peasants, the idea, the farmers, your peasants. The idea is that you are trying to. They split into two. Half of the characters are trying to get into a place called Unmordain, via which is the big city, or roughly of 2 million people, so twice the size of ancient Rome at its peak. And they are trying to guide their people with them, and it forms part of the campaign you'll have played in the Weeping Caves. They're trying to guide your population through the Weeping Caves to get into that city in a later set. The other characters go on a diversion via the Great Sewers, where they are basically hunted by these newcomer knights, and they are trying to either escape them or indeed kind of deal with some of them if they can. And in due course, they should meet up at somewhere inside that complex called the Great Diversion. And that's the first two sets in a nutshell, if that helps.
Okay. And so the Illumination of Deepsorrow, how does this continue the story? And of course, we don't want to ruin it too much, do we? But how does it sort of flow through?
Okay. Give you the spoiler-free trailer, huh?
Yeah.
So the important thing is that this takes place many thousand miles south. I appreciate we don't have a map in front of us, but the dominant academic. That's not quite right. So, an important species to remember in Mornadar, that means big country, partly because I like the group Big Country back in the day.
Right.
But that is the name of the world, Mornadar, and the Brethren, who are the dwarves in our game. The Brethrens are, all intent purposes, kind of Methuselah-like in age, yeah, and have a lot of wisdom and knowledge and so forth. But they're very much a dying species. And what they do is they have named the world according to how the areas of the world, sorry, David, according to how they regard it. So you have the Cold Lands, which is basically Northern Europe, and that's where the Weeping Caves and the Great Sewers start off in. So the first two sets. And you have the Warm Lands to the south of that, which is where they're originally from about 3,000 years ago.
Right.
And the reason I was mentioning that is that the Illumination of Deepsorrow takes place in an old forgotten city called Deepsorrow, which is in the Warm Lands, many thousand miles to the south. So it's all about deserts and sandstorms and lightning, which will definitely riff off one of the characters you're playing called the Earth Guide. Okay? Yeah?
Yes.
And you are trying to basically head into this very secretive abandoned city with this enormous spire in front of it, which is to do with the lightning as well and storms and so forth. And really, it's an investigation of what's going on. It is a multi-tiered environment, and the idea behind it is that you can play it on its own. So it's very much a standalone expansion, but also it comprises and the Great Sewers if you have those sets.
Right. Right. Shall we go to the table? Because what we'll do then is when Manda joins us, she'll pick up as far as being the player, but for the time being, I will sort of do that role. And let's get started, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So here we go. I've got the game set out in front of us. And we do the starting. So let me just show for those who are not familiar, we have this wonderful heavy tome of a campaign guide. This has all of the scenarios all detailed out. It tells us exactly what cards are required for each scenario. So I have set these out according to that. We have a starting location, which is the collapsed street, where our two characters, as you mentioned, the Earth Guide and the Envoy, are waiting. Manda, are you with us? Are you able to join? Are you actually in the chat?
Has mute, I think, on it.
Hello.
Hello.
Evening.
So sorry.
That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So I think we're all set and ready. Kevin, you are very kindly going to be acting kind of in the sort of games master role for us here a little bit, aren't you?
I will. So I'll try and keep you right on any of the rules, and I should say for a number of the people that have got the initial sets that may be watching, there are new rules in this. So if we caught you out before, David, it's entirely my fault for not explaining what those new rules are. Sorry about that.
No, not at all.
We'll keep you right. But it is one of those things. Once you've played it once and you go, I get what they're trying to do now, and it's just hard to explain in a text. But a tiny bit of world building before.
Sure,
we start.
go ahead. Please do.
This might help. The Earth Guide is local to this area that you're in. So you can see you start off with some sand that have collapsed into this tunnel. In that campaign guide, there is a little bit of preamble, some story building in it, and basically you find a way into sewers, which are at the top of this city, okay, just beneath this ruined city. And the Earth Guide is local to that, and therefore has what are called physiological traits, okay, which is why I don't know if you can hold up the card, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring it.
Just because I think it will help people really get into the game more.
So you'll see it on the screen any moment.
Okay. Here we go. Thank you. And so the reason I wanted to do that is if you look at that character, and first of all, a big shout out to Steve Hong, the artist. We are very blessed with the portfolio of artists we work with. His day job is to work in the video games industry, and in my opinion, it shows. This is what he does. He's only does characters. He's very, very good at it. Okay. But you can see this beautiful physiology, where there's an ability, David, called sensory main. Now, you would not have known that had I not pointed it out to you, but that sensory main is actually represented in the art. And the idea is that you can actually sense shock, sense lightning with that beautiful kind of mane of hair. Yeah. Right. When you're playing the game. And in addition, you'll see on that card as well, there are a bunch of lightning tattoos and so forth on that character. Again, lightning is a real motif with this character, and we'll get to that in the shock rules. Once you know how to play them, they're dead simple, but you're all about the lightning, okay? Which is just something I want to bring out. So finally, just on that one as well, if you look at the eyes, they're very, very dark. They're very beautiful and kind of big, yeah? Now that is something that I'd want to point out for your very first action in the turn. One of your abilities there is called Bright Eyes, okay? On your adaptive physiology card. So if you take the Earth Guide species, saying that you're required to take adaptive physiology. You're required to take it. This is a new thing for Deepsorrow, David, because it is effectively your species traits, if that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah.
And that Bright Eyes ability helps you with gaining mastery on surprise, depending on if it's dark or not on the exit. And that's important because what we took the feedback from people and what we wanted to do was let people influence scouting and influence surprise tests more rather than it just being a random roll, if that makes sense. So that would be my potted guide to the Earth Guide.
Should we look at the Envoy then?
Yeah, if that's okay. I'm worried I'm taking up too much time, but I think it's important for the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait till the card comes up.
There'll always be a little bit of a delay between, obviously, our audio.
Yeah. Here we go. So the Envoy is from the Jade Realms, which clearly there's an Asian take on this, which is something that we wanted to bring in to Mornadar. It was always the intention. In our world, it's actually to the west rather than to the east. Okay, they're off to the ocean to the west in Mornadar, the Jade Realms. First thing I'll call out is there is absolutely no getting away from it. The beautiful little polecats are entirely because I liked an 80s film called The Beastmaster. So for those that have watched The Beastmaster, and I'm not sure I want to rewatch it because I think it would ruin the nostalgia. That's why there are polecats in there, okay? But clearly there's a very much there's a Korean riff in terms of the artwork there as well, what we're trying to do. And it was important for us to show people that the intention was always to move the world beyond kind of Northern European characters, but it was just for the first two sets. They were literally villagers escaping, if that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah.
And with that, the Envoy has some kind of cool stuff going on there. There's a crossbow introduced for the first time, which works a little bit differently, so we'll get to that in combat. And again, you have got some ability to work with ancient text and so forth. So again, that's just something to bear in mind because we're going to introduce some new environmental tokens in this game. The new, the green icons. There's some new green and buff icons on the location cards that you would not have seen in the previous games. Things like ancient lore and so forth.
All right. Rogan did point out really liking the character artwork, which totally agree. It is beautiful. It's really, really nice.
Thank you. I know that Steve will appreciate that. Yeah.
And the artwork throughout the game is exemplary. It's really, really good. It's very clear. Also, the iconography and the way that the actual graphic design on the game, it's been very high right from the offset. The games have always had a very strong visual style to them, and this is no different. So,
sorry, I should have pointed out as well. You won't be able to do that with the cards there because this is an early prototype. As you'll remember for the caves and sewers, all of the occupations are reversible, masculine and feminine. Yeah, these will be as well in the final product. Just so people are clear on that, you can reverse them exactly the same stats just to get a masculine or feminine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I mean so it is worth pointing out that this is a prototype version of the game, so there are some slight elements that are not final. I think that is the point with this particular card, isn't it? That it doesn't have the dark exit from the location. Am I right in thinking that?
That's right. That's correct, yeah.
So we're going to put this little token on it there, just so we know that the one with the token actually is a dark exit. Again, I mean, Kevin, if you want to carry on going through the process, so what should its very first step? What should Manda be thinking about? What's the very first choices that she has to consider?
Sure. So one thing that we were one thing that we're kind of chatting about on the previous video that unfortunately I didn't get it across correctly, but to make it simpler for poor Amanda, basically a lot of the icons when it's the starting location, because you don't always use this as your starting location. Okay, that's in caves and sewers it was often the same card, but in Deepsorrow we move it around so you are progressing through, effectively walking through Moria or whatever. Yeah, you move the starting location card all the time.
Right.
And if you're using a card as a starting location card, most of the icons aren't there. It's only the environment icons you need to worry about. So don't let the barrier get in the way. It doesn't exist on that card when it's used as a starting location. So that would have saved you 20 minutes of grief, yeah. and almost a total party kill on the first turn.
Right?
No, I cannot warrant David's dice rolling today. But there was no barrier, so apologies for that. Okay.
I guarantee the dice rolling will just be as terrible as it was.
Yeah.
This is something we have to accept on this channel.
It is. All you need to worry about in this now is to look at the icons and the environmental icons in the top right. So in this case, you can see animals and reptiles. Those for these characters aren't actually that relevant, okay? But if you were playing, for example, a druidic type, the druids is actually probably our most popular character from the initial sets. They utilize the environment, so they literally look for those icons so they can cast spells and do druidic effects. So those environmental icons are important, okay? But just not for these characters just now. And secondly, you need to decide which exit you want to pick in terms of brightness. Now, the way you covered that before is absolutely spot on. Dark, bright, or ambient. But one thing you possibly weren't aware of because you were new to the game is if you have a quick look at that adaptive physiology I was telling you about, the left hand, the talent for the Wrathlander, yeah, and the Wrathlander's a species, the Earth Guide, yeah.
Yep.
You can see that bright eyes ability. Point is, if you think you're going to have a fight or you're not sure, that's a handy thing to have if there's going to be a combat in the next location. Okay, see there, bright eyes, and that's us deliberately trying to give you guys more options. So just bear that in mind if you want to get all combat-y or not. Now, of course, you don't know if you're going to have a combat in the next room, and I don't either because you randomly built this, correct, David? I have
absolutely.
no idea what's coming next.
Yes, so
it's a proper test.
Yes, so we have the game gives you a starting location, which in this instance is the collapsed street, and then I think it was it 6 or 8 cards randomly from a pre sort of set. Yeah, so they have been shuffled up. Yep. So yeah, no idea what we're going to face.
No idea. Okay, so we don't know. So you could say, you know, if you're absolutely gamifying this, well, what does it matter then? Because I don't know what's coming next. But importantly, we don't have it just now. Brought in this concept of divining cards in this game, in Deepsorrow, so you can actually kind of peek through what's going to come next in several of the locations by using certain abilities. So it does matter in terms of trying to predict how to use it.
Right.
All you've got to do is first off decide marching order. Who's going to go scout and who's going to go guard?
Yep. So Amanda, over to you. These are your choices.
Oh, I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. We're gonna have the Earth Guide be our scout.
Okay, so we can scout and guard.
Okay, so scout and guard. So you use the tokens for that. That's great. And then secondly, pick a brightness. So in this case, deliberately dark, bright, or ambient. The barrier isn't there, so you don't have to worry about it. Let's not let that confuse you.
I'm gonna go down that bright hallway this time.
Okay,
so I'm going to move the little character there. Shall we just go through this readiness tracker? Because this is one of the 0.5 additions, isn't it, that you sort of mentioned?
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
So just bring that to the screen.
You should be able to. Yep, you should be able to move your little guide character down just as you've done, and then on the readiness guide, default one will be ambient, but you've chosen bright, so you're going to take one of those. Yeah, and that's just to keep you right. You're going to flip that token over to the bright side and place it on top of that top layer.
Yep. So what
that's choice 1. Games should be about choice. The way we always try and demo it when we're at conventions, we always try and say the game's about choices, and scouting's important. You can definitely kill your party through bad scouting decisions.
Don't we know it? So going with the bright exit, this gives a -2 to surprise tests, easier scouting difficulty.
Okay, so the next thing should be pace, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
And in the original game, you could either sneak or what we called walk in. what we found is that in the game, people were getting very close to the end and running out of time. Now, when you run out of time, the game doesn't actually end, but it will end soon because you start having to take wounds when you should use time instead. Okay. So what we did is we brought in this concept of rush, which is the opposite of sneaking. So you can basically run around the dungeon, yeah, which costs you no time, but there are horrific penalties for it. And so that's why another reason we've brought the counters in. You can now sneak, which is just as you said before. You spend 2 time, but you'll get bonuses on looking for traps and surprise for combat. March, which costs 1 time. The clock always ticks in Legends Untold, but no bonuses or modifiers. And you can rush, which costs you 0 time, but you're on a -2 for both spotting traps and for combat surprise as well. And for those that are not used to the game, we deliberately set this game up on a bell curve to make it's random, and it's certainly random when David's rolling, but it's less random because it's on a bell curve. So a -2 is a big deal in this game, guys. Okay, because you should be rolling roughly 9 to 12. On a bell curve most of the time.
Yeah, I'm the anomaly, aren't I?
Yeah. I'm sure we're gonna prove that wrong today. Yeah.
So, Amanda, what pace are you going to adapt?
I think we're going to. Oh, do I want it? I'm going to sneak in. We'll be sneaky.
Okay.
So sneak and bright is quite a good combo, yeah, because you're gonna nullify the modifier against surprise. The idea is if you go to a bright tunnel, then you're far more likely to see any traps, but far less likely to pick up on a monster. So sneaking will nullify that. So you've got kind of the best of both. That will cost you 2 time. So you draw 2 time cards, place them beneath that.
There we go, and we'll put those slightly off so we know that they have been used.
Now, because we're not using any abilities or anything else, we should be able to draw the give me, because I'm watching the lag version here, so if I'm causing chaos, I'm not trying to.
No, not at all.
We should be able to draw the location card, and this is the bit, if we're at conventions, we always call this dynamic mapping. This was the bit where what we wanted to do is to give you an RPG, but without the hassle of having to draw an acetate or whatever. We just wanted it kind of there on the card in front of you, so you don't know what's coming. Flip it over. That card there is basically equivalent of your GM saying you're in a room, it's 10 foot by whatever, etc., etc. Yeah. And back in the day, we would all scribble in our math jotters.
I've just realised something, that when I set this up, I needed to put a certain card and shuffle it in the bottom part of the deck.
In the bottom half. I was going to mention it. But, so if you, yeah, there you go. Just that.
Yeah. So that being the case,
I was going to say that.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's our.
That happens a lot.
Here's our card. We have the Forbidden Door.
Excellent.
So when this appears, this is on screen, but do you want to tell us a little bit about the Forbidden Door and for new players, telling a little bit about the iconography that is on the card?
Yeah. Thank you. I was just trying to find the card in my set. So again, you can play it standalone or absolutely use it with the Great Sewers. What we're trying to do here is bring in the feeling of it's progressing the game along. So we've got these kind of druidic stones here and a Forbidden Door in the top left. And cards and the numbers on the top left are to do with scouting, which we're going to get to in a second. Other icons to be aware of are the ones on the outside of the card of the things you have to deal with first. So if it's red, you have to deal with it. That means it's a discovery. And we're actually going to deal with the icon in front of the footsteps, the obstacles next. The other environment icons we'll come to in a second. There's a campsite, you can see it just off to the side of the water. And then you can see we have a barrier. And one of the key things that people asked us to kind of tweak a bit in the game was to make going through barriers more useful. Yeah. Why? Because a lot of time people were like, "There's not point in going through barriers. It tends to kill me." And adventuring's adventuring, but it was hurting us. So behind this barrier in particular is actually quite exciting because you can get a search zone, that's what the barrel is, and there's also some minerals as well. Now, we're not playing with this particular character, but somebody did ask me about it in the Kickstarter, David, if I can mention it.
Sure, of course.
There's another expansion for this. I think you might have seen it at UKG called Potions and Preparations.
Yes.
And that small expansion basically lets you take an alchemist, or call a glyptographer, which is the Nimshka. Now, the Nimshka in Mornadar are our take on gnomes. And because I like gnomes, gnomes are basically the kick-ass species in Mornadar. Everybody is terrified of the gnomes. They're very warlike and they can use very special gem magic, effectively, okay? Those that have seen the film, sorry, forgive me, Big Trouble in Little China, if you can remember the bit of the end of it where they use these little gemstones and throw them around and make explosions, that's the inspiration for the Nimshka, okay?
Fantastic.
But if you were playing that particular character there, you're all about collecting minerals and creating these cool preparations, okay? So that little icon there with a little pickaxe, you would absolutely be all over that. And in fact, what we found at conventions is that when people are playing one of those crafting type characters, the glyptographers or the alchemists, they kind of don't actually care about the adventure anymore. They just want to go off and collect stuff.
Fantastic.
For it.
Love it.
But you see why we've done, hopefully you get why we've gamed it behind the barrier, right? It's like, well, it's up to you if you want to go and find those crystals or not, guys, yeah?
Awesome. All right, let's put this card in place. This is something that always stood out to me when playing the Weeping Caves. I loved the way of being able to put cards together to build up your map in this sort of strange, sort of haphazard style, but it's so sort of just enjoyable just to create it and see it form in front of you.
The map should create as you go. Yeah, it's absolutely correct. Yeah, it'll be different. Your game will be different to somebody else's. That's it.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome. So you've now created a bright tunnel. Hopefully everybody can see that. Yeah.
Yep.
And if you look on remember I said that it's easier to scout to the brighter exits. So if you look in the new card, the card you've just gone to, you can see the numbers there. 7, I think it's 7, 9, 10. It might be 7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9. Yes.
On the 7, 8, 9. Sorry. And I didn't know what those numbers would be because I didn't know which card you would draw. So in this case, the 7, the bright, is the lowest number, which is great because on 3d6, even this man here is going to beat that. Yeah.
Let's not put any money on that.
I really wish Manda was rolling.
Right.
But we've also got a +2 in this, yeah, because you sneaked. If you have a look at your readiness chart, you went to the sneak gives you a +2 on your scouting check, yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. So hopefully, sorry.
So is it a case of just rolling the 3 dice then? Yes.
Roll, yeah. Pretty much in the game, it is always 3d6 unless there is a thing called mastery or weakness involved. And very rarely would it not be 3d6. We brought in for a couple of things like locked chests and so forth, but pretty much always 3d6.
All right. Let's roll these dice and see what we get. And I'll let the stream catch up with the result.
It's gonna be the one good roll of the night, monkey.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm scared. Whenever we have to play dice rolling games.
That's a good result. So that's okay.
Now, forgive me. The non-Arabic numeral. What is that? Is that a 6 or a 1?
It's a 1. It's a 1.
It's a 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's a 13, which is just above average. Yeah. 13 plus the 2 because you sneaked. You invested the time to do it. Gives you a 15, and the rule in this game, the simple one to remember, is if it is 4 or higher, and that's again, it's just to do with some kind of percentage on the maths that we figured out. So if you're 4 or more than the target here, so in this case 7 plus 4 is 11. We've thrashed that, yeah.
Yes.
And you're alert. If you're equal to or 3 or higher, then you're bold. ABC. If you're less than, you're careless. And this is actually quite a kind of sanguine location in terms of scouting difficulties. And we set it based kind of largely on the look of the room. And the idea on this one is that it's mostly a straight tunnel, so you can kind of see what's going on. Some of them, those numbers would be significantly higher than that. Okay, harder to beat. So in this case, you are alert. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
And that's going to, and then there's no events to go off because we've only spent 2 time at the moment. So we can now go to the obstacle deck. And for those that are learning the game or new to it, the idea here is that once you've been shown how to play it, the icon should teach you the game. So if you look for the icon that looks a bit like a climbing a mountain,
yes,
yeah, just in front of the and then you go look to the deck with the mountain. That's the obstacle deck. You can draw from there, please, sir.
And we'll just bring it up onto the screen now so you can see. I'll tell you, it's the Chaotic Whispers, because I think you've got the deck there as well, haven't you, too?
Yes, so it might be better if you read the fluff, because you'll get it.
All right, so here we go. So it is a trap. Listen, don't you hear that? Whispers in the dark. Hide something grim.
Awesome. Okay, so important for this one here. This is an obstacle, the top left icon that you can see there. Right, this could be either a trap or a trial. You don't know what's going to come next. But the scouting decision you have made so far and the roll impact exactly what's going to happen. So had you rolled poorly, which was more likely to happen if you'd gone to the dark or had rushed in, yeah, because you'd be on like a -4 at that point, potentially, yeah? You're far more likely to be careless and you just go straight to the bottom result, the orange one there, if you were careless. So traps, very, very bad. So one thing that we find in this game when people say they died really quickly is we find that they're being extra tight with their time, and then it just gets worse and worse. So you just need to be judicious, and that's part of the trick, is how to learn how to scout. Yeah. So in this case, we just ignore that bottom result because we are alert. We're not careless. So reading down the icons from the top right first, let me just explain this to everyone, if that's okay. The part on the top right in the pennant is called a speciality. All you need to do is look for your cards to see if anybody matches that. Now, I know, having to go off focus, that the Earth Guide has that in the top right of their card. Okay, so I've got the cards in front of me. So you're automatically got mastery on this card just with the Earth Guide because of your, because of the way your character is made up. The closed eyelid, it means if you're careless, you're on an additional -2. You can ignore that. Okay. And then the alert icon, I think it's saying alert +3.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yep, brilliant. And then a light source gives you +1. Yeah, we're so beautifully Scottish in this game that we even make you spend torches to get stuff. Okay, that's how tight we are with this. So you can you don't have a light source, and that's actually why your little character on the occupation on the map, you'll see you can flip it over to give you light or don't. At the moment, we're assuming that you're penniless peasants and don't actually have much. So that's important because you can get torches and you can get spells and so forth as well, and cantrips, which give you those. Okay? So final thing to point out just now, if I may, is if you look under Chaotic Whispers where it says Party Table Test, okay? Table Test, it just means that you roll on the table once and you take the result. But party means that everybody has to do it. And that's reinforced with what we call the action line below the fluff. So you see it there where it says each hero must test, okay? The language is really important here. Each hero, that's both of you, must. You don't have an option here. You have to do this. Test grit will. Okay, hopefully that made sense.
Yeah.
So what you need to do now is figure out who's got the best will out of you. Well, it's definitely the Earth Guide because you're on a 2 compared to the Envoy who's a 1. Okay, and importantly as well, the Earth Guide has got speciality in this because it's a faith test. Yeah, so it is up to you how you do it. But my recommendation, because I know you're new to the game, Amanda, it would be that the Earth Guide probably goes first, because if you get a good result, you might be able to help the Envoy get past this without having to roll, which would be really good, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's definitely what I'm doing.
So would be do that then. You would take 4d6. I'm just checking if I've dropped off or not.
Yes, you dropped off for a second there, but you're back. It's okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so because the Earth Guide's going first, you roll 4d6. This is one of those few occasions rather than 3d6, and you discard the lowest because you've got mastery on this test because of the matching pennant icons, okay? And you look through your abilities to see if there's anything that helps you with a grit will test. Now, to save time, okay, you don't on these ones. But what you could do, it's worth looking, David, it's for this location card here. See the icon in the forbidden door below the discovery icon? See the one below the red icon? It should look like a cave painting.
Yes, I see it. Yes. Yeah,
right.
Just there, pointing
now,
out.
Is meant is. Thank you. That is meant to be what we call kind of ancient lore, ancient history. Yeah. And if you check out your card on the Envoy called Ancient Lore, the middle talent card.
Yes.
And look at the top ability card, which says Versed in Ancient Texts. So remember I was saying that your character is quite.
Just as it is, versed in ancient texts, gains +2 on a test in a location with that particular symbol.
With ancient. Exactly that. So, thank you. So what I'm trying to point out here is that Legends Untold is deliberately not a hack and slash dungeon crawler. Okay, there's not exactly a shortage of those games on the market. We didn't want to make that game. This game is about exploration and trying to be more like an RPG, so it's maybe about 30 to 40% combat. The rest of it is non-combat, and that's why that ability up there, gamification of it's about hand management, but the role-playing element of it is, okay, so because my character understands ancient lore, why is it this particular room, that I can see how to deal with the chaotic whispers? There must be some kind of hint on the walls or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this is completely random, isn't it, from these cards? But it just works so well in this sort of story aspect of it.
Yeah, if the game is clicking with you, and we appreciate that not everybody does it and likes it, but if the game is clicking with you, it should encourage you to write the story as you play in your own head. That's the theory.
So just to double check then, could the Envoy use that ability to help the Earth Guide, or would it be the Envoy who's then taking the role and we've got to make a decision between which character?
The latter, and that's really important. For a table test, the things that are shared communally is basically kits, of which we don't have any in the first game, and that's fine, yeah? If you were playing... if you have a look at the Wrathlander card there, can you see you've got this really cool thing? It's called a guide harpoon in her hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually that's a kit card, and there are other kit cards like ropes and traveling libraries and alchemist kits and so forth. You can use kits to help add bonuses or buff one another on party tests. Kits, okay, but not talents usually. You will get the odd talent that lets you buff another character, but not this one in particular.
Right. Okay.
So you could choose to go first, but in this case, mathematically, you're probably better off going with the Earth Guide.
Yes.
Okay, so roll the dice. I guess we're aiming for a score of 15, isn't it? It's the top of the table, because that's what we're trying to do, is get as high as we possibly can. So, but with 4 dice, maybe we'll do all right. Let's find out.
Yeah, maybe.
The amount of anxiety that comes from monkey rolling dice, I swear.
Okay.
It's definitely a role-playing game then.
I'll let you catch up to see the result.
Oh, my word.
Wow.
So
Monkey, what did you do to the dice?
I swapped the dice. I've got new dice.
So that's a great roll. When it comes to combat, we're screwed, but it's a great roll.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so what I would say on that, just to help, because I appreciate not everybody's going to dial in for the whole thing here, so I want to give them the understanding two different rules at once if we can.
Sure.
And when you've got mastery, you discard the lowest. Okay, so you take away the 3, and you've got 15. Brilliant roll. Okay. Now in the game, we also have a thing called weakness, and you can get weakness through poison, or if you're fighting the undead, or if somebody gives you a curse or things like that. And when you have weakness, it's the other way around. So in this case, you would discard the 6. So weakness is horrible. Yeah, we don't.
Oh,
have,
definitely.
That's not relevant to here, but just explaining how it works. Okay, for that, and that's now. Those are the 3 ways you can roll a dice, basically, guys, in the game, and the rest of it, the tests will just vary accordingly. So in this case, if you're on 15, and you've also got your +2 for your base ability of will on the occupation card, okay, is a 70, which means I think you have hit the number you wanted to. If you want to read the fluff, please.
Absolutely. So you ignore the whispers and lead others past. One other hero automatically succeeds.
Awesome. So the Earth Guide is earning her keep. And
Yeah.
basically, no, I am the best rogue. The previous. And you can now move the party token into the center of the new location card.
There we go. Let's move this out of the way.
We have just survived our first obstacle.
See, and now part of me wants to go to that door because I feel like I need to.
Right. Well, and that's fine. So let's and this is where playing the game, the flow will help you here. Okay. So firstly, when it's a barrier, you always get to actually draw the barrier and decide if you want to have a go at going through it or not. Anyway, so that's a thing to be aware of. Okay, which is cool. You might go, I want to check it out, and you might think I actually have no chance of getting through that. Secondly, first thing we have to do is just deal with any red icons on the outside of the card. So you can see in this case here, there's a thing that looks like a map with an X on it. Yeah?
Yes. Point that out there.
Yep. Now that means it's a discovery card. And I know some people will be looking at the 3 red decks at the top going, well, that's not one of those. This is where the game comes into its own in terms of you go to the adventure deck, the question mark. And that's because you may find something in the adventure deck prior to this discovery. So I have no idea what you're going to draw here. But please draw a card from the question mark deck. The
Okay.
adventure deck.
So first of all, we have a Booby Trap, which is a glass gas vial. Let me bring it to the camera.
Awesome. That is one of my favorite pictures with the little kind of. I think the guy was watching Thor when he came up with it, but I was like, yeah, it's cool. Go with it.
Monkey, I don't think you shuffled these cards.
I have shuffled them. I guarantee I have.
right. Okay. So booby traps can cause. Sorry, I'll let you read the fluff.
Okay.
I'll let you read the fluff.
So it says, you brush against a tiny lever and a hammer smashes down onto a glass bottle, releasing a poisonous gas.
Fabulous. Okay, so again, bit of role playing. Thank you very much. So the important part for this one, okay, is because booby traps can cause a lot of confusion, and hopefully now that I explain it, people will go, I get it, right? They only ever go off if you are either careless, which we are not, okay, yeah, or if you are searching a search zone, or we've created a new thing called a treasure zone. But on the location map, basically, if it's on the location card, if it's a little barrier or a little treasure chest that you elect to search. Now, when you elect to search, you can either do it carefully, which costs you a time and you ignore booby traps, or carelessly, quickly, a quick search. In which case, if you draw any, they go off. That's it, okay? So in this case here, it doesn't go off. But so you're probably thinking, well, why is it there? Remember, I said earlier on, if you had been careless, okay. So if we chose to run into this room in the dark, because everybody at conventions likes to test us on this, guys. Okay. What would have happened would probably that you would have been careless. You'd have set off the previous trap that we just got through, and now you'd have set off this booby trap as well. So scouting really matters in Legends Untold. That's the key takeaway. Yeah.
Okay.
In this
awesome.
case, you can ignore it. You don't have to do anything. We're still alive.
Yes, we're doing 100% better already. Okay, so we keep on revealing cards until we reach the map card, yes?
The discovery card. That's
That's
correct.
it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this just goes in the. That's a straight discard. Yeah.
Okay, right, so here we go. We have the next card, and I will bring it to the screen and read it out. And we have an encounter with cultists. Who are you that invade this place? The cultists might be reasoned with or made to leave you alone.
Now, one request, and you may not have it to hand. By any chance, do you have the box Deepsorrow near
Oh, yes.
hand? With David?
Yeah. Hang on.
If-
Oh,
Here's
there you
the
go.
link. Cool. I think for your viewers, this would be of interest. Wait, my machine catching up. Sorry.
There's always a delay, so.
Yeah. So there are just a few of the motifs I want to bring out here. This is important. Okay, you can see the envoy on the left. Okay, the Wrathlander at the top. Sure. Okay, if you look below them, and again, this is Steve, our character artist. His brief was, go make something that looks amazing, roughly in a style of the kind of things you see in a cinema. Okay, and that's what he did. But if you
Yes.
look beneath that, you can see a cultist and a bunch of cultists behind them. Okay,
Yep.
no more spoilers in this game, other than the colors of some clue cards, because you did find one before. Really matter in this game. There are red, green, and blue clue cards, and you can see there are deliberate uses of color on this picture. See the green on the left,
Yes.
purple, the red, and the blue, right? Those really matter because there are multiple factions at play in Deepsorrow, okay? And the cultists are but one of those factions, okay? And finally, I just want to point it out because I think you were quite into this last time, Amanda. If you look carefully around the cultists, see little things flying around some of their hands?
I'm assuming these are the bees that we might have encountered
There we go.
before, yes?
That you may have encountered before. I'm just going to leave it at that. But again, thought of a bit of world building. You might find those are the bees there as well. Okay, so there's a lot of thought went into that cover.
Yes. No, it's beautiful. And again,
Okay,
you got the two cats on the shoulders there, which is awesome.
They're essential. Yes, essentially there. Cool.
All right.
So the card itself was you drew an encounter, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So Coveries come in two forms. We have curiosities and encounters. Curiosities, they are optional. You don't have to deal with them. Whereas encounters, you must deal with them. It's our way of getting as close to having an NPC in a role-playing game as you can get. Okay, so this is somebody that you have to deal with. Now, if we look at that card, I'm hoping that some of you might even remember how some of this works already. Top right, you can see it looks like it's Faith again. Now that's pure luck. Faith shouldn't keep coming up, but
The pendant.
the Wrathlander, yeah, you're potentially, you've already got a speciality in this. Okay, the other two icons there, if you have an appropriate hit, which you don't, but you may have, okay, it's ×2. I think is what that symbol is saying. Okay, or maybe +2. I can't
+2.
remember entirely.
Yeah, +2.
Sorry, +2. Apologies, +2. And then if you're alert, you are, I think it's +1.
That's
okay?
correct.
Is
Yep.
what it's in there. Right. We're already +1 because we scouted well into this. Okay. Now, this is an encounter, so we have to deal with it, but it's a staged test. And a staged test, best way of thinking about these is if you see the belt buckles on the left-hand side, yeah, then this is like it's our way of simulating a conversation. It's like a double or quits game, folks. Okay, you start at the bottom, and then you gamble whether you want to go up one, and then you gamble again. And if you fail, you go to the one below. It's kind of like having a conversation, yeah, or if you were playing Oblivion or Skyrim and you do the whole thing where you flip the wheel around and so forth. It's kind of like that. To make it feel a bit different. And in this case, it's I think it's coerce will or persuade charm. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, coerce will is a +0, whereas persuade charm is -2.
So this is where you look at your cards, and it becomes quite an interesting one, because if this was, this would normally be absolutely your kind of neck of the woods for the envoy, because you're all about the charm. You've got a charm of 3, which is the highest you can get, starting character level. Okay, you're a very charming person. And remember, you still can use your ancient texts in this room. Yeah, you remember the one that you got a +2? You could choose that if you want to do so. So that would give you a lot of advantages on this. However, the Earth Guide, this seems to be the room from heaven for you at the moment, Mantha. You've still got a speciality in this, because you've seen these people before. Okay, you've seen them in the sands before, and therefore you've got your 4d6 on a +2 will. So really, it's down to you to decide how you want to use these. And the other thing I was just checking. Well, David, would you mind holding up there's the ancient lore talent card? This is for the benefit of your these, because some people would not been aware of this. Just checking how many you had.
So we get a +2 on a test, burst in ancient texts.
Yeah, but also on basically. The way the game works, it's about hand management, is if you use any of those abilities, the entire card is utilized. But if you look at the bottom ability, it's a very special ability, because you drain it, so you flip the card over, you actually wound yourself to use it. It's such a good ability. Whereas the other ones are exhaust. Okay, so you just rotate the card in and you get it back at the end of the turn. So that was all I was really trying to drive out there, is that the bottom ability is very, very good, okay? If we were meeting the Araten or the Arsa, those are 2 ancient cultures in this game. We're not here, okay? But you can use it with the animal test modifier. You with me there?
Yeah.
If you want me to explain that, what I mean is, in this case, if we decided that you were going to do this card rather than Manda, then you can either use the top ability, where you just rotate the card 90 degrees and you get a +2, because the animals are in it. Yeah.
Yes.
On the bottom one, you would drain the card,
and we'd get the game mastery, wouldn't we? Would use the 4 dice.
Yeah. You also gain time. That's what that little time. That's what that little.
Right, okay.
So it's for getting time back as well. So you can actually wound yourself to take it for the team. I don't think you need to do that yet, but again, I'm just trying to show some of the cool stuff we've brought in with the Deepsorrow set.
Absolutely. Okay. So
now, who's going to do the chatting? Who's the bard of the group?
Oh, I mean, me personally, I'm not a bard, but I think my character might be.
I mean, you've got kind of cool blue dreads, right? I mean, that's a talking point for starters.
Yeah, which is funny because my hair actually is blue, so.
Awesome. There you go. This is a LARP as well now. I'm so glad.
You've got it's the Earth Guard who's got to go forward and do it in that case, then surely.
Yep.
You've got. I'm just checking your abilities. You've got no abilities here that help with this. That's fine, because I think the maths genius of the 2 of us told me once that speciality roughly equates to about a 2.12 equivalent or something like that. If you've got mastery, so you can treat it as a +2 typically. Yeah, the dice are the dice.
Okay.
So you're rolling 46.
Yep. That's
and you're adding 2 for your will, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's see how we do. We'll let it catch up.
Monkey, I think you cooked the dice or something. What did you do?
All your viewers are like, this game's too easy.
They're probably thinking, well, that's not Monkey's rolls. Is he getting somebody else to roll? What's going on?
Because you've got this mastery thing is working out well for you, Manda. It's very, very well for you tonight. Okay, so that's a 16, yeah? The only thing is, that we're probably high-fiving a bit prematurely here, because this is a staged test. So if all that does is move you up one belt buckle. Okay, so if you have a look at the card, apologies, the cultist card.
There you go. So does this bring us onto the first, or so it's kind of like the second level, isn't it, from the bottom?
Yeah, it brings you up. Yeah, it's one up from the bottom. Apologies, I'm still on lag, so I'm trying to catch up. I think I can see there's some fluff, and then it so what's that? The cultists consider what you say. So far your chat is okay, because the one below it, okay, is have a fight. Okay, they shout alert and intruders, and something turns up to fight you. That's not good. The next one up means that they consider it, but you need to spend one time. Time is not usually your friend in Legends Untold. So now you need to make a decision. Remember I said we're trying to simulate an NPC conversation here. How do you do that with a set of cards, Kev? The conceit is that it's double or quits. So you can choose to try and roll up another stage. It's a stage test, which will get you to the next one up, which is, again, more sanguine. Okay, basically it's a kind of bit of fluff and nothing happens, yeah? But if you fail, drop down to the one below it, which would be draw a foe, which would not great. Or you can quit now and just spend the time.
Oh, tough decision.
There you go. There you go. And that's why I hope we're okay for time there, because I appreciate I am very verbose. But
no, it's fine.
Explaining it properly now. Okay. I'm hoping people get, they start to get the game and they go, right, I get it. It's not the same as an obstacle. It's a conversation, yeah?
Yeah. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to...
I gotta push forward. I gotta do it.
Oh, with my dice rolls. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
You can't give me these options and expect me not to take it. It's like putting a button in front of me and saying, don't touch it.
So doing the boring maths of it, which I tend not to do, because I do like role-playing in this, I've actually forgot about your +1 as well, because we're alert, aren't we?
Yes.
You've got a +2 for your will and a +1 for alert, so you're on a +3, and your mastery theoretically gives you a 2.1-ish, so 2.5. So I'm going to... Theoretically, you should be able to do this by the laws of probability. There we go.
Yeah, all right then, let's give it a roll. So just before we do we have to spend that time? Or do we only spend it afterwards?
No.
Right, okay.
Once we level out, there are actually there are a couple of talents, David, which even in the original Caves and Sewer sets for like conversationalist characters that let you re-roll a stage test if you screw it up. So that's why you do it at the end. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll roll these dice. Let's see how we do. +3 on this.
+3, yeah.
Again, I will let you guys catch up so you can see the results.
I can't, so I can hear laughter. Feel the tension. Oh, look at this!
Oh my gosh!
I really do fear for combat when we get to it.
We're definitely using up all the good rolls now, for sure.
So, I mean, I'm guessing you've basically just given them a bottle of whiskey or something. That's a pretty impressive roll there, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for the purpose of moving your game along, you might want to quit at that point.
Yeah, I think I've pushed my luck as much as I can.
Yeah, I would go with that one. But if I may, just for the benefit, especially for those who know the game already, they're probably wondering, what does the top result actually do, though? Okay, so the top result in this one has got a little treasure chest on it. And what that means, and we're not going to do this, right, is that it would add a little treasure chest to the location card. We've got little tokens for that, and you would get to go to a new deck we've created called the treasure deck. And the reason we created the treasure deck in this is because we absolutely want to build a world together. Yeah, thank you. We want to and we want to build a world with our backers, and the backers said really enjoyed it, but we want more story and we want more stuff to find. Okay. So the treasure deck is another deck that we create, and what that lets you use is all of your unused loot and so forth from adventures that you're not using in the adventures you're in. You can stuff them all into a treasure deck with some booby traps, and that lets you find more stuff. Okay, so that's what that's about. But for now,
right.
we're just going to quit. Okay, we're just going to quit at the cultists ignore you, because I think
Yeah.
I think we should quit, right? Quit while our heads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's us done with that card. And now you've dealt with everything that you're mandatorily required to deal with, all the red stuff, effectively, yeah. And you can see a barrier, and you're absolutely entitled to just draw that barrier and check it out as to whether you want to even go through it or not at this stage.
All right, let's see what this barrier is.
Okay. So we'll take one from the top.
So that would be the cross door one. Yeah, exactly that.
Monkey, these cards look very familiar.
I absolutely shuffled all of these decks. So
I
Okay.
am scarred from this one. I don't think I want to go into the crypt.
Well, if you like, what you could do just to prove that this game is not in any, why don't you put it to the bottom and draw a different barrier? Because I'm
Yep.
fine with it. You're not going to break
Okay.
the game in any way.
let's do that.
That sounds interesting.
Oh, here we go. We got a
Let's get
completely different set.
Let's get something that kills us even worse.
Oh yeah, that's great. I'm already traumatized by that one. Let's do something different. Yeah. Oh, what is this?
Shall I read this out? So this is the Flowstone Curtain. Yeah, it's a barrier. So
Awesome. Okay.
flowing lava has dripped from above and hardened to block off this path. Their options move, none of them easy.
Awesome.
Oh, good.
Okay. Right. So this is a barrier. Okay. You genuinely usually don't have to go through barriers. Okay. One thing we did create in Deepsorrow was the concept of egress barriers. So they block off some exits. So if you remember on that location card, you know how I said it doesn't exist on the start location. If that had been a location you used midway through the game, that would have been an example of an egress barrier. Yeah. You couldn't go to that one unless you chose to go through this.
Right.
For now, all this actually does is stop you going into this particular little antechamber, and you can choose whether you want to go through it. If you do go through it, there is a card. There's a little question mark card behind it. That means that is that you will draw on the location card. Sorry, all that means is that you will draw the next card from the adventure deck, and whatever it is, you deal with it. So it could be a fight, could be anything. So it might slow you down in your quest. But there's also a search zone to go and find stuff, and some minerals, albeit we have no particular need to draw minerals at the moment in this game. If I may, one of the backers was asking about how on earth they use some of the boosters and stuff that come with the game. One of the boosters we added into the game lets you add gems into the game, even if you're not playing like a gem crushing character. That's why we did this, so it can give you more stuff as well, more reasons to go behind the doors, yeah?
Right.
But for now, unless you desperately want to go through this barrier, you can just leave it, or you can have a go.
No, it can keep secrets. I'm not gonna mess with that.
Yeah, the penalties for failure on this one are actually fairly severe, so I would leave it, yeah. And that's a key thing as well we would bring across in Legends Untold, is that it's exploration. You don't have to do every card on every game, and it is perfectly okay to run away from combats in this game as well.
Definitely
So
run away from it.
So all we do with that is leave it beside it. Yep, that's it. And
I think I'm right in doing this just to keep things tidy. I could put this card over here, and we put maybe these counters, a 1 on here and a 1 here, which helps us
Perfect.
link. Yeah.
I'm on the delay, but if it's the little orange
That's it.
ones, that's exactly that. Yeah, spot on. That's what they're there for. Thank you. That's just what I was going to suggest. Yeah. So what a turnaround. We're still alive. We haven't taken any wounds so far. The Kev app is working. So in this case, what you do now is you're now in the rest phase. Okay, there's nothing else that you need to do in this location. So the first thing that you would do, because we didn't actually use any of our abilities in the end, did we? No.
No.
The first thing you would do in the rest phase would be to untap. Oh, I can't say that. I'll go to prison. Unexhaust. Okay, unexhaust any cards that you have rotated 90 degrees. So had you used your ancient lore card to get your +2, for example, David, yeah, you would unexhaust that. That's for free. Then you get wounds back, and typically it is 2 time for all the heroes to get 1 wound back, but you subtract 1 if there's a campsite, which you can see there is a campsite in this particular location.
Just in the top there, isn't it?
Yeah. So campsites are good generally, okay? But in this case, we can just fly right through all that. Nothing else to be done because we're awesome, and off we go. And I'm hoping, I mean, what I normally do at a convention now is, right, you guys tell me how to do a turn because I've shown you how to do this, because the game's not that complicated once you know how to. So we're on to a new turn. Take away all the stuff off the readiness token just to help that hint.
Done.
Okay, and the first thing you should be doing would be march in order, yeah?
So
I think we're gonna stick with, or at least I think we should stick with what we've got because it's working for us.
it is working, isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Okay,
All right.
so
That sorts
what's
that out.
next?
It's the brightness, isn't it? So whether you're going to go with the bright passageway or the dark. And in fact,
is it ambient and dark in this one?
yes, it is. Yes, because there is no bright. Yes, so you've only got 2 choices: ambient or dark.
Let's go ambient. The dark scares me.
Yes. So we'll just put ourselves there.
So that's fine. And we don't need to put another token on the tracker because that's the default, yeah? And now you choose your pace that you want to go through it.
Oh, this is where it's like, do I sneak? I think we. So this is where I have trouble with it because I always play rogues in tabletop RPGs. So like my rogue kicks it and goes, I'm sneaking down this hall.
Yeah, and you raise a really good point as well, right? Because a number of people are always, there's a standing joke in Legends Untold, which is they don't let us split the party, and we literally don't let you do that. We may do at some other point, but it became too complicated when we tried it. So at the moment you can't do that.
I think maybe
if it helps,
March.
I'm the same. You're March, okay. So default, okay.
Yep.
And so in this case, you would draw your 1 time and spend it over, please.
Okay, 1 time, done.
And then draw your location card.
Okay, let's see what we get. I'll bring this over so you guys can take a look. We have the cellar escapes.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll let my machine catch up. That's got some really cool kind of pathways and so forth in it, so that's a great card to show. I really like that card actually. And that was inspired by, I think that was inspired by me watching a documentary about cellars below ancient Rome from memory. That's where that came from. Cool. So you can see here, this is actually a linking card. Okay, you can see the sewers in the bottom and to the right, yeah. But you can also see it branching off into some cellars and caves. And that is why in the top right of that, you can see what looks like a cave mouth, in the top right corner. That is called a pathways icon, and that is because some people, if you've got time and the inclination, might want to jump between sets. So you could actually go through that route and go from the sewers into the caves, which gives you an even bigger game to play. Let's say you're playing on a Saturday and you had hours, so exactly that, right? So that it lets you do that, and so that's deliberate. And the reason we've done that as well is proofing the game. The ultimate intent would be that you are doing wilderness. If we hope to make a wilderness set for this at some point, and the idea is if you're off exploring forests or whatever, and then you come across a cave, then that would be an entry point from that forest into the caves. Does that make sense?
Nice.
Yeah?
Yes, love it.
And then
Yeah.
you can So that's what that's all about. So it's a great card for you to have drawn. For now, we're gonna put the footsteps beneath the exit we've chosen, and then just want to keep people right here because people sometimes wonder about, oh, can I not place it because I can't fit it under the location cards? Imagine if this was on a computer and you could basically tilt the map around a bit to make it fit in. It's only if you physically cannot fit it in that you don't place it that way. So in this case, you should be able to just, through the magic of tilting a card or two, fit that one in no problem.
See now, because I want to automatically keep this channel, the artwork, all level. Can I twist this card round though?
You can do, yeah. So what I'm saying, you could do that, or what I would even do. So what you're doing there is absolutely valid, and the way that I explain that, if people are asking, especially if you're playing this on a coffee table or something, would be, well, all you're doing is creating a spiral staircase effectively. So that would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Other thing that you could do as well here is take the card at the bottom and rotate it to the right, so that it's not it just magically shifts. Yeah, just rotate it that way to create space. There you go. Which I know seems like, well, how is that? But you know, you're a world creator, sir. If you just twist it to the right, and then you'll fit them both in. That's absolutely valid as well. We're not trying to gamify this too much, you know, in terms of how you fit it in. But anything that works for you visually.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're good.
Okay.
Because we've not got a obstacle, can we walk just straight on into the center?
Just go. You can, but you're absolutely right. Okay, because you won't always get an obstacle. And one thing we did reduce in this game as well, again based on feedback, was we reduced the prevalence of traps compared to trials in this game because people were saying there was too many traps in the first set. But you still need to roll for your alertness, your readiness, sorry, because there may be booby traps.
Indeed.
So this could be, you might still be careless. It might happen.
So what do we have?
So that's 3d6.
3d6, and there's a value of 10 on the ambient light.
That's right, yeah, and there's no modifiers. So because you just went for default. Yeah?
Manda, what did you do? Why don't we have any bonuses going on here? Okay, let's see how we do. Oh, that one's gone all the way over there. We'll have to roll that one separately.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm on a delay, so I don't know what you've rolled.
We're fine.
It's the hardest part of the game, apparently. Oh, definitely is. Right.
See, we're fine. It's fine.
So that's quite good, right? Because you're on 13, and that illustrates the point from earlier on. Because I think you said the threshold's 10 for ambient, yeah?
Yes.
That's better than, but not for better than.
Yeah.
You are bold. In terms of that readiness tracker, I've got to love the neatness here, sir. There's no tokens in it at all so far, yeah? Because you are default for everything.
Okay, we're going to find this one slightly harder, possibly, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, now, the next thing you need to do in this card is look to the left, look to the outside. That's the GM saying, this is what's in the room. So, can't see it fully, but I think it's a fist at the top left. Is that right?
Yes, it's a fist, and then it's the discovery, and then there's a symbol for antlers, so for animals, and then it's the mining.
Animals. Okay, so to explain all of that, right, if you had a character that could use animal lore, for example, there's a farmhand that can, that's what that would be useful for, that's what the antlers is. The mining one would be, again, if you've got that little Nimshka, the little miner that wants to find crystals and so forth, they would love this room because what it means is that there is stuff for them to harvest in this room. They don't really care about the fight, they just want to grab crystals. Okay. You, however, have got a fight to deal with, a foe, So, you know, let's see where the dice rolls go now.
Ah.
But we are going to go to the adventure deck and look and draw a card, and let's just draw them one at a time because it can have the game could go a number of ways here, and I don't know what's coming next.
Okay, so first of all, we receive an actor's necklace, some loot.
Okay, so that there, for the benefit of people that don't know the game, that is in the room, but it is basically guarded by the foe. So it isn't ours unless we deal with the foe. So it goes to one side.
Okay, and we keep on drawing.
Okay, so we shoot that to the side and draw again. Yep.
We receive a worn key. Another piece of loot.
So again, this is going to be like an alpha boss, isn't it? Whatever we draw has got a lot of stuff now. And this is, remember I mentioned earlier on about Legends Untold, Mornadar being quite low-key. This is us glamming the game up a bit. Loot in the original games was things like candles.
Right. All right, next card. We have a discovery card, Brownie Looters.
Okay, so in this case here, this just goes straight into the discard, because I know there's a discovery to come, but we just ignore it, okay?
Okay. Well, here we go. We get some lightning stones. There's quite a lot of loot to be found in this particular room.
A lot of loot.
Let's keep
There
going.
you go.
But we finally hit our foes, which are the... I see now. You guys on the channel know how badly I am at saying names. let's just put this one up on the screen.
I will have a read in a second. I'm still at Brownie Looters. I can now see lightning stones. Give me a second, guys. The internet
they look like goblin pets or young goblins.
They're adorable.
Gaiags?
Ayags, yeah.
Yeah.
Ayags. These are little kind of... I think if you read the fluff, did it mention something about Mologs on them? I'm trying to remember.
So yes, the natural enemy of Mologs. These small creatures are nasty if they catch you by surprise. So disadvantage grants -3 to attacks against this foe.
Okay, so I'm going to interpret this all for everyone in a second, but basically, in the original set, okay, there's a creature called a Molog, which is a attraction of mole dog. Okay, so they're little kind of cutesy mologs, and indeed we gave away a baby molog as a promo card once. These things hunt mologs, so just trying to do a bit of world building for people that are interested in Mornadar. Okay, but these are basically kind of flying, I don't know, flying bat moles that bite you a lot. I guess let's go with that.
They've got a lot of teeth. That's what's jumping out
They've got a
for
lot
me.
of teeth. Okay. So we are going to use for this one here. If we can keep that card to hand, we are going to use the battlefield here, okay, and this will hopefully make combat a lot more visual for everyone.
So I'm going to just move this to give us a little bit of space.
Yeah, and you should be able to take that card actually, and put it at the top left of your battlefield on the side that says melee. Your battlefield, the one you've got, will be reversible.
It's ranged, isn't it? So it's this one. There we go.
Yeah. Now, again, for those that are one thing, this is a prototype. One thing that I've actually changed in the final that we're making just now is I realised that it's actually just a bit of a pain in the bum to flip that over and over again. So what we've actually created is just one thing that has got the ranged rules on one side and melee on the other. So you never need to swap it over, okay?
Oh, right.
But you don't have that version, right? So for this one, yeah, that's the prototype one. Other than that, it's the same. So these are melee foes, and the first thing we need to do is to roll for our surprise against them. Now, if you look below the foe icon, there's a little number there, 14. That's a high number, okay? That's their alertness. That's what you need to beat, preferably by 4. Good luck with that. To actually surprise these things, okay? And that makes sense, right? Because these are kind of little tiny venomous prey things. So this is probably not going to go well.
Here we go then.
One thing I want to show you, didn't go dark because we didn't know, okay? But if you were able to just grab the adaptive physiology card, please, for Wrathlander. That's where you would, for example, use this hard, yeah. If we'd gone to the dark, right, your beautiful big eyes, you could gain mastery on this roll. That's what that does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, 17. Is that right? Am I reading that right?
It was, yes. You've got the dice rolls caught up with you.
Okay, sorry, that's me trying. It's just so that people can. So I'm trying to show that there are ways of influence and surprise. Okay, in this case, through pure luck, let's go with that. Have actually beaten the score, but it's the same as before. Okay, you need to be four or higher to get the best result. So in this case here, you are basically neither side is surprised, and hopefully, if you look at the red part of your readiness tracker,
Yes.
okay, red part, the square part, that should make that quite clear. I'm hoping.
Yep.
Awesome. So that means now, just to be clear here, we're trying to make this into a role-playing game, and you can run away. If you surprised it, which you don't, you can actually choose just to run away. A lot of people forget that in this game. You don't have to fight everything. If it surprises you, which it hasn't, you must fight it, and you must fight it with when you are surprised, which is awful for these characters because of their special ability. In this case, you just need to fight one round or more, and neither side is surprised. Okay, so this is good because their ability is horrific for this. So what you do is you take your 2 tokens and you choose where to place them. But the first thing you do is calculate how many of them there are. So if you look at their 2 heroes part, on the left-hand side of the oblique, it will show you a number of creatures.
It's 3 in this instance.
3. Okay, so there are 3 Gaiags. So hopefully you've got a Gaiag token or something you can use to approximate that.
They're in there.
And those go in the melee section. Now, you and I think this is where I think it was shock caused a lot of confusion last time. So I want to cut through that for you. So
Let's go for it. Yes.
Once you've used it once, you'll go, I get what he was trying to do. That was fine. That crazy Scottish guy. Okay. So what we're trying to do here is, first of all, you need to pick a stance. Okay. You can choose to shoot or go ranged or melee. So looking at your characters, okay. For starters, the envoy has got a crossbow. So you may just want to go, I'll just shoot the crossbow anyway. Can also do stuff with removing disadvantage, but you don't have to worry about that just now. So you probably want to consider going into ranged combat for the first round at least. For the Earth Guide, okay, there is no water in this room, but if you remember the Storm's Breath ability from before, you can actually apply shock tokens. I promise you it'll be quick because I'll show you how to do it this time. You can choose to do that, which adds shock to these little things, if you will. And that's you using, Amanda, that in terms of the lore, that's you using these cool lightning tattoos that are on your arms, right? That's what you're doing. You're going bang and shocking them with Storm's Breath to release the storm. Also, though, you have got a very awesome big bronze axe here. It's called an Epsilon axe, which you could just run over and hit them with if you wish. Your choice.
Oh, I wanna try this shock token thing. I wanna see how this works.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that let's do that. Okay, so you've got to select beforehand what you do because it's important. Okay, so you're both going to go ranged. Okay, this is the one bit in Legends Untold everybody gets confused, and then we explain at a convention. They go, I get it. Okay, there's an engagement round, and then there are standard combat rounds thereafter. Why do we have the 2? Because in the engagement round, everybody always gets to shoot. Whether it's if they're ranged creatures, they can shoot. Heroes can always elect to shoot. And that's because in subsequent rounds, we have this thing called pinning, and basically melee creatures or heroes can pin other people in combat, and then you might not get to shoot. And that would kind of suck if you were an archer or a scout type of character, yeah? You would never get to use your bow, potentially. That's part of the reason we have the engagement round, that and for surprise, okay? So, in this case, you can both legitimately choose to shoot them, and they won't even shoot you back for the first turn only. Round. So, who wants to go first? You can either do shock or you can go with your crossbow. But if you do the shock, because on the don't know if you want to hold up a talent or not, but the release the storm ability of the Storm's Breath talent, David.
Yep, doing that now.
That lets you apply 2 shock
Oh,
tokens,
wrong one.
and the reason you can apply 2 is because you've got both your talents have got Wrathlander written on them. Yeah,
Yep.
you've got 2 Wrathlander talents, so you can take those shock tokens and put one on, on those guys. You can put one on 2 of them, if that makes sense. So only one won't have one.
Okay.
Cool. So if
Yeah,
we're going
I
to do
think we'll.
that,
Yeah, I think we'll do that.
Yep. Okay. So the really important keyword on here on this one is says use as a ranged attack. That is your action. Okay. So we exhaust that card. We rotate it 90 degrees. Okay. And you release the storm, and you've just shocked 2 little. How could you do it to the Gaiags? 2 little Gaiags. Okay.
I know. I want to keep one as a pet. They're cute.
It'll be a plushie. It'll be in all the stores this Christmas.
There we go. That's the first time that one's come up. Right. Okay. So yeah, indeed, we rotate that. Okay, and then you take 2 little shock tokens and put them on 2 of these things. This is David. You mentioned the battlefield before and the combat aid. It's not a miniatures game, but this is us just trying to make the game more visual and easier to understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. So all those shock tokens are saying is that when they are acted upon or are about to act, and I'll explain that in a second, they are likely to suffer some kind of I don't want to say disadvantage because that's an actual game term, right? But some kind of bad effect, okay? And to be clear, some of the creatures in the game can cause shock. Some of the booby traps can cause shock on your characters, yeah? So you can have those shock tokens as well. They affect foes and heroes. And indeed, if you get the lightning stones, you can start using them to shock things as well. Have fun with them, yeah?
Fantastic.
So for now, they would normally get to shoot you back if they were ranged foes. They're not. So for the engagement round, you just ignore them. It's now the envoy to go. And you can either do what I would call a standard shot, which is just roll your 3d6. Or in this case, you could use, if you have a look at the card called Hawk's Eye,
Yep,
you
bring
can
that up.
choose to use focused shot if you want to, which gives you an advantage.
Well, we might as well, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yep.
but now this is where you need to get tactical, okay? So you can choose to shoot at one of the ones with a shock token, and they're going to draw that card in the top left of your screen, yeah?
As in the shock cards deck just here, yeah?
Or you could go for the one that's not been shot.
Ooh. And if we reveal the shock card, that might give us additional bonuses?
That short card may say something like the person shooting you gains advantage, and advantage doesn't stack in this game, so that would be a reason not to do it, but it may say something different. Shock is it's meant to be not a random effect, but it's hard to determine how bad or good the person that's been shocked is, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's a toss-up, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'll leave you with 2 phrases here in this because they're now equally appropriate. In Legends Untold, everybody hates the scout. Hopefully you figured out why. Yeah, because they basically land you in trouble. Everybody hates the archer because usually they miss or shoot another hero or something. So don't worry, if you screw up, everybody hates the archer anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean that works in most of those tabletop games. The archer is the one that everyone gives a wide berth to.
Yeah.
Why don't we shoot the one that hasn't got the shock tokens on? And we'll go for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to rotate that card. Okay.
Yep.
And what that does is actually give you a little advantage token, a little square one, but we're going to use it straight away, so you don't even need to put it down in this case. So that gives you a +2. You need to look at the Gaiags card and check out what it is for the ranged modifier. Sorry, I should have actually pointed out at the start. Up at the top, it'll have
-1.
-1 to shoot. Is it +1 melee? Because they're quite.
It's +0 for melee.
+0. Oh, there you go. Right. So So in this case, on a modified, you're 2 minus 1, you're on a +1. So roll your 3d6.
There we go. It was bound to happen eventually.
I can't see it, but I'm assuming it was bad.
All these really good rolls for a whole stream.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. So, 10, 11, modified 11. Okay.
Yep.
It's great though, because this. Yeah, +2 for advantage, but -1 for the Gaiag.
Yeah. So go on, please.
As I was going to say, so this illustrates things really well, because sometimes people, when they're learning the game, they don't pick up on this. If you look at the occupation card, the default one on it is the knife. You don't use that. You use the crossbow tucked to the right of that. Okay.
Yes.
And that 11 figure there, you'll see looks like a little kind of spearhead or a up arrow. Yeah. That means advantage. So you've not missed it. You've made it duck. You've made it duck its cute little furry head. So you take away your +2. And you put and then the next thing to act, right? And this is the tricky part in Legends Untold, and that's because I wouldn't normally be here, right? But the next thing to act, if it's a hero, gets +2, or if it's a creature shooting you, gets a -2. These are not ranged creatures, so you don't have to worry about it. So actually, what you've done here is that you lift up the +2 advantage that you had, and you give it to Amanda's card.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yep, done.
Don't hit, but you make them duck. Now, that is the end of that round of combat. Now, you could choose to run away. There's quite a lot of loot. These things are like magpies, I think. You could choose to run away. I assume you're not going to, but I just point that out because, joking apart, in some of the later scenarios, you will have to run away. Like literally, it's like Indiana Jones stuff. You will die if you try and fight everything, yeah? So we now start a new round, okay? They don't check morale, nothing got hurt. But this is important, okay? Amanda, you are out of ranged options, yeah? You've cast your spell, okay? So you don't. Yep. A, you couldn't do anyway, and B, they are melee creatures. And if you have a look at that combat aid, basically what it says is that each hero must try and pin 1 or 2 creatures. So in this case, both of you need to go into melee combat because this simulates them flying towards you. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so in this case here, you can't use your anymore. So good thing you used it before. So you push both your tokens up. That's why we created this battlefield.
All right. So we're in the melee area.
Yeah. And final thing I want to show you on this one here, I'm hoping you've got a little, now depending on how old the prototype is, it'll either be square or it'll be a portrait style rectangle.
Yes.
It'll say outnumbered on it. It'll be red and green. You
Yes,
need to
got
make
it.
that red, yeah, because you guys are outnumbered. Outnumbering is really important. That can make a big difference to the way the combat swings. So again, combat is tactical, okay? So, in terms of how this works, okay? For those that don't know Legends Untold at all, the combat in this game, what we've tried to do is simulate a 2-hit damage roll and any armor saves or whatever for both combatants at the same time. So that's 6 rolls in one, okay, with what we call the unified dice roll. And it's basically a table which dictates what happens on either side. So it sounds like a lot, but it's to keep the game going quickly. Because normally you can play a round in 5 minutes when I'm not gas bagging away, okay? So for now, one of you needs to go first. They won't act. You rolling is them acting, okay? Just trust me on this one. But quite clearly, one of you is significantly better in melee combat than the other. Just in case there's any doubt.
I wonder who that could be. Could it be the one carrying the giant axe?
Yes.
Oh,
Go
yeah,
for it,
that's
Amanda. Go for it.
You.
Let's do it.
Now, you've got if you have a look at the axe card.
Get over.
Sorry, the apologies. Not apologies. I said the axe card. I meant intimidating style was the card I meant.
Oh.
Apologies.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, got it there.
I'm just checking.
Wild swing and overall.
Yeah. Now, I'm just waiting for mine to catch up. Oh, sorry. Sebastian is asking. He did ask me that on Kickstarter earlier on, so Boris, I'm just going to answer this question if that's okay.
Sure.
Sebastian, we hope wait until early next year now, because we've just been a bit delayed proofing the book, so that's why. Okay. Hopefully that's okay as an answer. So if you look at that there, what I was trying to show you here is, for some reason your prototype is different to mine's, but that's important. Can you see the little icon that looks like an exclamation mark with
Yep.
with a almost in it, right? That means PAR. It means play after you roll, and that's really important, okay? Because the play after you roll icon means you don't even choose what you're going to do before you roll it. Now, from my perspective, my wild swing icon, we actually tweaked it in this prototype, but let's go with the one you've got, okay? You've got a choice because it's easier for the viewers. So in this case, you've got a choice of just doing a standard attack, or you can make the wild swing, okay, which lets you hit something and apply shock. Yes, Sebastian, that is correct. So until next year. Sorry, I wasn't clear on that on the Kickstarter. Okay. The wild swing lets you apply shock if you hit it. Okay. Well, when you do it, but the two of them are already shocked as well. Okay. And the one on the bottom overall, if you can see that there, you can basically just roll, and if you kill one of them, then you can apply shock to the two other creatures, which is really awesome. But that's because, you know, frankly, you're a blue-haired genius cat with a big axe, so who wouldn't be scared by that, right?
Yeah. I think I want to try doing that one.
Yeah.
Just roll, see what happens, and if we kill.
Just roll. Exactly that. So PARs are really good. Play after you rolls are very, very powerful ability.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Tell me.
Manda. Don't kill Manda. It's all going well so far. Will there be a master setter? Are you okay if I keep answering questions just now?
Sure. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. When we finished this one and get it out, it's because we wanted to make Legends Untold 1.5. You and I have got another project or two we want to look at, but whilst we are doing those, we are collecting art for the Apprentice set. So the intention would be to go to the Apprentice after the just the next level up.
Fantastic.
Right. So, what you're going to do is roll 3d6, but there are a number of modifiers at play here, so let me try and cut through that lot for you. First thing you do is check the card for the Gaiags. Now, you confirmed that was +0 in melee, yeah?
Yep, indeed.
So, nothing there. You are outnumbered, which is a -1. And you need to pick whether you're going to go for one of the ones that have got a shock token or not. And be fair to you, David, before you beat yourself up, nobody has seen shock tokens apart from those that our team has demoed to at conventions. So don't worry about it. Nobody else has seen these either.
Right,
so you want to pick one that's already quaking or the fresh one.
What are you going to do, Manda?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm forgetting about your advantage as well. So you're on a +2 -1. You're on a +1, yeah.
Yes, I
No,
would.
Yeah.
Are you going to take the one who's not got any shock on, or are you going to do one of the ones that does?
Let's. Let's go for the one that doesn't.
The one that does it, right?
Okay.
The one that's sitting there snarling at you, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's,
I want to pet it, but
you want to pet it with your axe. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. so just so we're clear here, you're on a +2 for the advantage, yeah, which was driven by your awesome shot last turn, yeah, and then -1 for the outnumbering, so +1. That makes sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling these 3 dice.
rolling the 3 dice, yeah. And you can take it, now you've spent the advantage, you just take it away, so it doesn't use matters.
Yeah.
And we're not flipping
yeah.
over a shock token because we're not using shock, yeah. While I'm waiting on those dice rolls, Sebastian has asked the questions. Will other games be co-op? Can you hint a little? Well, I will play the publisher caveat of nothing is definite till we launch. What do we get? We're rotating. What do we get? 13? 14? Is that right?
Yeah. I think that's not too bad.
14.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
14 plus 1, yeah.
So if we look up 14 on your Epsilon Axe card, on my pure eyesight, that make that, it's not a crit, it's not 50, but I think
it's a hit.
Strike, yeah?
Yeah, it's a hit,
Yeah.
yep. Inflict
So,
damage on
what
target.
happens? So you kill that one, yeah? So you just take the token away. And, because, what are we calling our character, Manda? What's her name for
What?
today?
Oh. Oh.
This is going to be the question that's going to stump us completely.
I didn't. So because Bob,
There we go.
in Blackadder fashion, because
yes.
Bob has killed that one. Sorry, because I don't know what name you want to go with. Bob can choose to rotate that card because you want to use your kind of awesome, look at me, I'm amazing, and add another shock token. I think it says add 2 shock tokens up to
It
one
does.
creature, isn't it?
Up to 2 to other creatures. Up to 2. If you kill a creature with this attack, then apply a shock to up to 2 other creatures.
2 other creatures. So you can shock. Those poor little things are now terrible.
Yeah.
You can put another one on each of them, yeah?
We're going to put another one on each of them, absolutely.
So you've used that card. And so you can actually spin these over, can't you? Because they represent 2 shocks. Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, that should do, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so those little things are, and so shock is important, right? Because these things are terrified. And then the other thing here, just want to show you again a bit of tactical in the game. Now you are just using the knife here, right? The default knife is you put a crossbow and a knife, and the knife's not brilliant in this game. However, because Bob the Awesome has done so well that you can take away that outnumbered token. It is dynamic and changes for every wound or every kill, yeah? So that can come away, and that's just saved you a -1, yeah, on your attack. So outnumbered is important.
Excellent.
I'm briefly going to answer Sebastian's question about will other games be co-op. The next 2 that we're working on, one is something that Hugh created a while ago, and we've been collecting art for ever since. It is competitive, be the best way I would describe it, but it's set in the same universe. You were working as orcs to take on the Brethren 3,000 years ago, called Lord of the Horde. Game after that, I don't want to give too much away about that yet, but that is set in Mornadar and is entirely cooperative. I think you would appreciate it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Right. So, it's now your turn to attack, and this is really important as well. We kind of make this in big bright red in the rules, folks. You have to attack here, right? And the reason you have to do that is otherwise they would never get a chance to hit you back, because if you roll poorly, that is them striking you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You cannot just say, I don't want to roll. You've got to attack. But you're going to have a monumentally bad roll not to succeed here, because of all the shock tokens. So I assume you want to go for left one. They're both the same, in terms of where we're at now, using your default knife. So first thing you do is you take away the shock token, the one that you're attacking. Go to your shock deck.
We have a card. Yep. Do you want me to show you the card?
Yeah, please. I'm not sure what one it is. There's going to be 2 cards here, so this thing's terrified.
I'll read it out. So, subject makes test. So, hero, exhaust a talent.
So that's not you, okay?
Right, so the other side.
The subject is the other side, yeah.
So, test against a subject versus a hero, gain mastery on this test. Versus a creature, ignore any negative melee or ranged modifiers.
Now, that there, so this is us trying to show shock, and I know it can cause confusion until you get used to it. But imagine you were fighting against, I'm not going to say a dragon, but something that was, you know, maybe like significantly harder than these, that had like a -2 or a -3 melee modifier. This would be awesome, right? Because you would just ignore that. So that's why shocks. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
I think the confusion we had before, just who the subject is, and that was us doing our whole Latin subject, object, verb thing, trying to come up with it. But the subject is the thing rolling the dice. Which is either always going to be a ranged creature, that's the only time creatures ever roll dice, or a hero, or if it's against the subject, which is what you're doing here in melee, then you do that. So in this case here, makes no odds because there is no melee modifier. Could have been amazing if that makes sense. So you can just put that card to the side because they had 2 shocks, and let's see what the next one does.
Okay.
But hopefully that explains it now that you guys were just reading the wrong side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it, yeah. So again, test against subject, gain +1 on this test.
Awesome. Right, so you shocking that thing has absolutely helped the envoy with his knife of doom. Not screw up, we hope. Okay?
Yeah, okay. So we got a +1.
So you're on a
Don't screw up.
plus. Don't screw up. You're on a +1, and that's it, right? Which is
Alright.
not bad for a knife. Taking on a bat with a knife is not bad.
Let's give it a go. Let's see what we get.
Oh, sorry. Just want to raise this to you.
Yeah, go
Before
on.
you roll. I don't have to roll.
That's alright, go on.
Are you still in the room? Are you still in a room with the animals in it? I can't remember. Or have we moved on?
Yes, no, it has an animal symbol, yes.
And if you want to, exhaust your versed in ancient text. Well, the test, the top one.
Yeah. So gain a +2 in a location with the animal symbol, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you get a +3 now, yeah?
Okay, let's go with that then. Let the video catch up.
Okay. So 11 +3 is 14, yeah?
Yep. So that looks as a hit.
That's a strike, which is actually quite hard to do with the knife. Yeah, if you look at the combat track on the knife, that's not easy to do. So the only reason, in case your viewers think that you guys are like the best warriors in the world here, the only reason you really succeeded here was because of the shock, I would say.
Yes,
So
definitely.
So Bob's lightning tattoos were awesome in this combat. So that kills one of those. Okay, you can take that away. And hopefully if you're tracking this, you can now add in the outnumbered token, but flip it over to the green side. Yeah?
Yep.
Because you outnumber them.
Yes. All right, so we've applied that.
So combat is more tactical in Deepsorrow. Now, the next thing we do is to check for morale. Now, I can't actually read the card, forgive me, but is it a 3-1 or a 3-0?
It's a 3-1.
Right. So they are now going to run away. Okay. So this would be the point where they run away, and because I'm GMing this, one of them happens to sneak into Bob's belt and become a pet. Let's go with that. Right?
Okay. You want to put this into the belt, and there we go. We got a little companion there.
We've got a we've got a little pet guy. How's that for a role playing outcome for you live on TV?
I love it. I was just gonna say, this is
Okay.
where I want another option, the tame option, please.
Yes. but but for the benefit of those wondering what would happen in the game, this card here does not have unique written on it in the top, okay, and on the full card. So that means there are more than one. You know, it might come up again if you when you know what you're doing the game and you're playing it quickly, you can cycle through this whole adventure deck and it might come up again. So there is no point to really trying to completely kill this card off. You wouldn't take it out of the game; it would just go back into the discard pile. However, some full cards are unique. Okay, they'll have unique written on them, and if you, in this case, if it was going to run away, it is potentially worth your effort to hack it down. That takes it out of the game. The scenario you're playing, yeah.
Right.
However, just so we're aware of that, it's the same as always. You get one. Where people go, I'm going to take my free slash. Oh no, I just rolled a 111, and it hits you back. So again, just trying to explain that. But this isn't going to happen because in this case, it's now basically looking for, I don't know, little bits of lizard or something from your belt.
Fantastic. So we've effectively defeated them.
I've defeated them, and the next thing you would do be your discovery. I am conscious of your time. I am fine for time though, but I just want to point that out. That's kind of a 2-hour gameplay, of which you've seen, I would say, a good 70% of the game now. As it happens, but wanted to kind of touch base with you as to how you wanted to proceed.
No, I think that's probably a good highlight to sort of end on there with the Earth Guide getting their new pet and us being able to pick up some wonderful new loot. And the loot gets shared, doesn't it, between the two characters? Am I right?
So let me show you one more thing then, please, rather than playing through another card, right? Because you and for people that are wondering, well, that's 2 hours. Once you know what you're doing, you can play the game in about an hour. That's the plan, right? You play roughly 6 locations in every scenario. Takes about an hour. But because you defeated that foe, you get all those loot, and it is shared, and you get some, cool stuff. The key can be used to open up treasure chests. That's what it's for, to get from the treasure deck. The lightning stones help you use shock, and as Bob has just demonstrated, as Manda's just demonstrated, shock is awesome, yeah? One thing I want to draw, would you mind just drawing a few more cards from the adventure deck? I'm hoping you're going to come across a clue card. A clue card is what you're going to find. One of the new ones.
Let's just quickly go through.
This is quite key to the Deepsorrow product offering and the story.
There we go.
Your game went significantly better this time round, guys.
It did. There we go. We got a clue card.
Okay. Awesome. So I'll just have a look at
the green clue.
Green clue. Excellent. So whilst I'm waiting for that to catch up, at the moment shuffling through the deck, but obviously those are random, right? So that green card could come up like as you're about to draw a booby trap or a foe or whatever. How did you deal with whatever it comes before? Then take that card, and this is where we think this is fairly unique. I'm not saying nobody's ever done it before, but we've not seen many games anyway, where you do it. You could go to your campaign guide.
Yeah, let's show you that.
The book you had earlier on.
Yeah.
And go to the bookmark that you were on to actually set up the game. So in your case, I think it'll be on page, if your prototype's anything like mine's, roughly page 20.
Just want to make sure I don't want to show anything. So there we go. Scenario
it's okay.
1.
I think we can say to the viewers this is going to be like one semi-spoiler. That's all.
Yeah.
But it'll give them a real feel for what's happening in Deepsorrow. So there we go. So this is the campaign you got. There we go. And this is the bookmark, okay? So roughly page 22.
Yeah, 20.
If you have a look on the left-hand side, have a look at the bookmark, and you'll see that there's a thing that says G1.
Yes.
Okay. G1, and it's on your one. I think it's 189.
189, correct? Yep.
Yep. So what we're going to do there is if you, and I think we've actually changed that. I think the G and the R's are the wrong way around. But to avoid confusing people, you don't know, as we've demonstrated, you don't know when that clue card's going to come up, or even if it comes up at all. Now, to Manda's point earlier on, if you go through barriers, hopefully we demonstrated that you draw more cards from the adventure deck. We call it deck burn, yeah? Because you would draw cards to see it. So it's a good thing for finding clues. This is to encourage you to explore, yeah? So in this case, you go to entry 189, have a little bit of fluff. There.
Do you actually want me to go to that page?
I'm okay with caveating that there is a spoiler for the first scenario here.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that nobody else can see anything else, but we get an idea if this is 189, just on the side here.
Okay. Okay, and basically there's a bit of story, but after that story, there's probably a choice as to what you want to do next. Even if you went to the choice at the bottom, okay, it says, you see it there?
Yep.
Even if we ignore the world building, gain 1 level in the history of Deepsorrow tracks. So if you flick to the end of that book, David, there's these tracks. Okay, those you'll see it there. It's a kind of green track on inside cover, history of Deepsorrow.
That's the way.
You would basically, put a tick beside the 1, yeah, and you'll see that you see the one for the second tick that gives you an additional clue 47. Does that make sense?
Yes.
With me there? Right. So what I'm trying to show here is that as you play multiple scenarios in Deepsorrow, it will give you more and more clues, which will explain more and more about this world. And that green, do you remember I mentioned green, red, and blue about the box cover? And there was a really cool kind of misty woman in green on the left there.
Yes.
You remember that from the box? That would be the history of Deepsorrow. So, I guess without spoiling it, this hopefully shows you that there's the game here you're playing, but on top of that, there's an entire investigation going on here, which you may or may not uncover some or all of it, depending on how much you explore. And that is to encourage you to explore as much as you can, provided that you're alive. So you should get a different game to everybody else playing. That's the theory.
This is awesome. This is really cool. So it has, history of Deepsorrow, then people and creatures, and then ancient artifacts.
Ancient artifacts. Yeah. And then you tick off the clues as you get them, and you gain more and more stuff, and more about it, and you learn more and more. And those things there will, depending on how many of those you unlock, and how you progress through these clues, you might act.
That's really awesome. And there is so many elements in it. It's a good tome here.
Yeah, thank you. We really are. I'm hoping that you felt like you got an RPG-like experience. Was the intention?
Most definitely, yes. No, most definitely. And of course, certainly having your assistance made it a lot clearer. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. So this
has been so much fun.
Yeah, just to reiterate then, Kevin, what is the sort of a timeline for people being able to get hold of the game? How is it going to work out? Let's just go over that again. Oh, is your audio dropped out?
Uh-oh.
Kevin, come back! We've not lost him to Deepsorrow, have we?
Uh-oh.
Kevin, can you hear us? Oh no! Oh no! We've lost him right at the very end.
Come back! Come back!
I can still see him in the voice chat, but I think the mic has just gone. So I guess I guess that's where we wrap it up.
I guess so. This was so much fun.
It is, isn't it, hey?
It is, yeah.
I mean, as Kevin highlighted, we have obviously taken our time during the course of this and having everything explained, and obviously having the benefits of Kevin being able to provide some of the lore, giving us a little bit of the idea of the designing thought process. We would play it a lot faster, wouldn't we, ordinarily? And as he says, you could typically play one of the scenarios within, an hour or so. So,
can you hear me now?
Hooray!
Nope.
You're back.
I'm so sorry. I think, I did wonder if my internet would drop off. Right, sorry about that, guys. No, that was it. I'll show you the game and then drop off.
Yeah, that's it. He drops the mic and away he goes. What a rock star.
That's it, we're done. All I wanted to say was thank you so much to both of you for spending the time to play our game and for giving us coverage on the channel. Answering the question, where we're at right now is just finishing proofing everything, which has taken longer than we thought because we never do things by halves. We've ended up making 9 different products at the same time here, and we want one core rulebook to cover off the reprinted Caves and Sewers and Deepsorrow. So we just want to get it absolutely right. I'm going to be sharing that with the backers for kind of proofing the next couple of days, hopefully.
Right.
So that would mean we think that we'll have the files over to China. Watts Games, the manufacturer, was actually chasing me today, so that's a good sign. Within, I'm kind of hoping January. We're desperately trying to get all the files and get the game manufactured prior to Chinese New Year, but that is tight. So it may be just after that, and then it can take. Last, the UK will get the game after everybody else. It will probably arrive in America first via Florida, and then Europe and Asia. So maybe we would hope. I keep saying Q1 to Q2 next year. But I mean, the game's made. The game is designed, and all the art is collected. Just trying to proof it to make it as error-free as we can.
Excellent. So, and I'm assuming that once the stock actually does come on into the UK, those who haven't already previously backed it could purchase it through the web store.
That's right. We went through distribution last time, and we've been told that distributors in the UK, certainly in Europe, will be purchasing the game again to buy it via retail. Also, if people are interested, and I don't want to give the hard sell in any way, but if they are interested, they can still pre-order and get exactly the same deal as the Kickstarter backers, which gives you all the bonus stuff with it as well. So you can still do that just by going onto our website.
Brilliant stuff. So there we go. Thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much to both of you.
Thanks,
guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye now. Right then, well, there we go. That was a lot of fun. So that was Legends Untold, the Illumination of Deepsorrow from Inspiring Games. That's our first little venture into of the role playing for this week. But tomorrow, Manda, you and I are taking a look at another game, aren't we?
We are.
We are going to be taking a look at the just released Urban Decay from Osprey Games. This is a beat-em-up role-playing game. So if you are a fan of Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, or the John Wick movies, or any sort of martial arts style of film, then you're probably going to like this type of game. It does look like a lot of fun, but we will go and do one of our deep dives tomorrow evening from usual time from 7 o'clock GMT.
All right, well, I will then see you tomorrow for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Manda.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. So, there we go, guys. Again, thanks to our guest, Kevin Young, co-designer from Inspiring Games, for joining us this evening, playing Legends Untold, the Illumination of Deepsorrow. Thanks, everybody, in the chat. Thanks for your questions. Very much appreciated. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening. But until then, bye for now.